New patterns from Villa Rosa have arrived and we are going to review them one at a time. Plus, you are going to have the Quilting Your Legacy notes, which just adds a little extra oomph to each of the patterns to ensure that you have the inspiration and motivation to use your fabric stash on these amazing patterns. If we haven't met before, hi, I am Emily and the founder of Quilting Your Legacy, and together we are going to quilt your legacy with intentionally sewn projects for you to enjoy along with your favorite people. Let's look at these brand new patterns right now. Okay, so here is our first pattern. It is called 31. This quilt measures at 42 inches by 58 inches. It is also featuring a panel. Then you have the sashing going around, and then you have the background fabric, which is this white colorful fabric on the background. Then your arrows are going to be using 5/8 of a yard cut, or you could choose ombre fabric or really great bally fabric. So just choosing one colorway to make the arrows, you would need a 1/2 of a yard cut. Quilting Your Legacy notes. So because this is using a panel, and if you have any panels laying around and you're not quite sure what to do with it, here is your quilt. You are doing the arrows zipping all around. They are made out of 1/2 square triangles, and of course you could choose to use one fabric in a 1/2 of a yard. And I love how they chose this red color for their sashing. I highly recommend doing the same so that your panel will really pop right out. Next pattern is called Bubble. And bubble measures at 63 inches by 69 inches. You will be using 9 different fat quarters, and then your background fabric, which is this cream or white color fabric. And then, of course, you will need the binding. The Quilting Your Legacy notes is that this would be brilliant to use primary colors. Could be a toddler quilt or feature your favorite fabrics, because when you create these fabric bubbles, they are all 16.5 inches. So again, a really great way to highlight and feature your favorite fabric. And when you create the bubbles, they are using the flip stitch method. Literally my favorite method when it comes to quilting. The next pattern up is called Happy Thoughts. Happy Thoughts has 2 different quilt options. The first quilt option is 63 inches by 68 inches, or you could add on an additional border, which would make it 72 inches by 77 inches. To make Happy Thoughts quilt, you will need 10 different fat quarters or 125-inch squares. So these squares here is what's going to create your 120 squares. For the themed fabric, which is the flower fabric here, you will need 2 yards. And then again, if you wanted to go with the optional border, you would then need 1 yard and 1/4. Because this is my pattern, I have a piece of paper on the top of the instructions, but for this particular pattern, I wanted you to see the backing of it. Because with the back of the pattern, you can really see how the quilt fabric is supposed to be. So this is going to be your themed fabric here, and then these are going to be your squares. Quilting Your Legacy note. You could easily choose a fun floral fabric, very similar to what they chose, but this could also be amazing in Halloween or Christmas. Not to mention, if you are looking for a pattern to teach one of your favorite people how to sew, this would be a really great project for them, because they could just sew 2 5-inch squares together, and then of course ironing it and then creating a 4 patch. And if you wanted to make this a little bit larger, you could always add an additional border to it. But again, this would be a really great pattern. Perhaps them choosing their favorite focus fabric, and then you coordinating all of the tonals and solids to go down for the 5-inch squares. This is an amazing pattern. Okay, on to the next. So next we have Tiramisus. So Tiramisus is 64 inches by 70 inches, or you could make this quilt a little bit smaller by sewing less blocks together, and that would make it 48 inches by 56 inches. So to make it the larger size, you would need 20 fat quarters, or you could have it as a baby size quilt, and you would need 12 different fat quarters for the 48 inches by 56 inches. And of course, you could could absolutely make this larger by just adding more blocks to it. This could not only be a really great size baby quilt, but you could even turn it into a table topper if you wanted. This particular quilt could go into so many different colorways. You could choose Christmas, red, white, and blue. Don't these kind of look like fireworks to you? Love it. And you could even choose Halloween fabrics as well. I love how they went with fall color fabrics, and I very well might stick to the fall color fabric, but then again, with this pattern, literally the sky is the limit when choosing your colorway. The next pattern, Tres Leches, I think. Tres Leches? Okay, I know somebody's gonna correct me. I love this. I love that there is a main fabric and then all you need is 2 other coordinating fabrics. So this is going to measure at 48 inches by 56 inches. You are going to need 1 yard for the main fabric. You are going to need a half of a yard, which is the white here. And then you're going to need a yard of the background fabric and the border fabric as well. And that's kind of sort of like this black color zipping all around. So again, 1 yard, half yard, 1 yard. So if you have a 3-yard bundle pack and you're not quite sure what to do with it, here is your quilt. Because with the 3-yard bundle pack or the 3-yard buddy bundle, that extra half yard for the whites, that could be your binding because you would need a half of a yard for the binding. Quilting Your Legacy notes. This fabric is brilliant for any type of large scale fabric with, of course, 2 tonal fabrics zipping around. And again, if you have a buddy bundle or a 3-yard pack and you're not quite sure what to do with it, here is your quilt. And as always, if this is too small, not a big deal. Go ahead and add an extra border to it. And then last, but certainly not least, is Fly Away. Okay, really fast. If you are part of the Quilting Your Legacy Tabletopper Club, maybe don't purchase this because, we might be sewing this together very, very soon. So Fly Away is going to be measuring at 16.5 inches by 54 inches. You are going to need 12 different 5-inch squares, 5/8 of a yard cut for the background fabric, which is the white here. You will then need a half of a yard for the border, and then of course the binding as 3/8 of a yard cut. Quilting Your Legacy notes. Again, if you are part of the Quilting Your Legacy Tabletopper Club, you don't need to purchase this. Now, this pattern is also calling for 5-inch squares, but you could use 2.5-inch strips because when you are creating these flying geese, you will be doing the flip stitch method. So this pattern calls for 5-inch squares, but you could use 2.5-inch strips for your flying geese. And also, when you are creating the flying geese, the pattern is using the flip stitch method. Get them right on the camera. There we go. Okay, so these are the brand new patterns from Villa Rosa. They are on the website for your pleasure. Comment or message, and I am happy to ship these. The best part about these patterns is that they are digital. So you could purchase any of these patterns, purchase it, download it, bada bing. You will be starting to gather your fabrics in less than 5 minutes. Thank you for watching and happy quilting your legacy. And I look forward to sewing with you very, very soon. If we haven't met before, hi, I am Emily and the founder of Quilting Your Legacy. And together we are going to quilt your legacy with intentionally sewn projects for you to enjoy along with your favorite people. Let's look at these brand new patterns right now.